Now, of course, this is oversimplified, so maybe I'm misremembering something and they simplify, so that's why they're not going into the details. But in general, even from like the strictest of the Catholic perspectives, believe it or not, a marriage is not valid unless you consume it. So, if anything, religious authorities, once you have a husband and wife, would push for you to boink, like they're saying here, unless there is something I'm not remembering from the, like, out of the blue now, from the historical record in this situation. What would there be? Not necessarily countering the argument, I'm just saying I don't remember it. I'll have to look it up.
Gonna be king. He does have a grandnephew. It could be him. No, let's go with me. Just one problem. I mentioned that Edward's mother was a Norman. Edward grew up in Normandy, and he had a lot of Norman friends. The current Duke of Normandy was William the Bastard. Why was he called the Bastard? One day his father was sneaking out of his castle when his advisors said, "Where are you going?" To the tanner's shop? Why? To get a tan. But that was a lie. Firstly, because tanners give you leather, not tans, and secondly, because he was really going to see the tanner's daughter. One thing leads to another, and out comes baby William, born out of wedlock. Thus, an absolute bastard. His father died when William was 7 or 8, and he became the new Duke. He spent most of his childhood narrowly avoiding assassination, which...
As a lot of royal kin. I mean, that's one of the things when it comes to like people of power, when we see the successful ones or the ones that live a long life with power and wealth and all the surrounding benefits of being nobility, of course, we say, man, I would have loved to be a king, or man, I would have loved to be like in the imperial family. But then if you look at all of the cases in which they get murdered, and so do the entirety of the family and children and possible heirs, this is one of those cases in which you say, you know what, you can keep the nobility. Great, I'll just be me.
Probably turned him into the big balls tough guy he's remembered as today. In 1051, the town of Alençon tried to rebel against him, and the townspeople beat on dead animal skins as an insult to his commoner mother. William was furious, and he responded by, well, let's just say it wasn't pretty. That's the kind of guy we're dealing with here. William and Edward were good friends, and Edward allegedly promised that William could have the English throne after him. A decade later, Harold Godwinson even visited William and pledged an oath to him over holy relics, promising that William could be the next king of England. Although it's possible Harold only did it because William was holding his family hostage. So when William heard that the king was on his deathbed, he said, hooray, I'm gonna be king. So now you have two extremely powerful men who both think they're about to become the next king. But wait. This guy is the King of Norway. He spent most of his life as a warrior for hire, fighting for whoever would give him the most gold. You name a place, he probably fought a war there. Poland? Yep. Estonia? Yep. Against pirates in the Mediterranean? Yep. The Holy Lands? Sicily? And Bulgaria? Yep. He got crazy rich off the back of it and was swimming in gold. Then he returned home and became king. One of the previous Norwegian kings had made an agreement with one of England's Viking kings, saying that when that Viking king died, the King of Norway would get the English throne.
Oh, goodness gracious. Everybody's promising the... yeah, when you look at it this way, once again, very simplified, but when you look at it this way, it's true. Like, everybody was getting promised this freaking kingdom if the claims are all to be believed, because of course you could fabricate claims. That's something people did historically quite a lot. In fact, and I'd like to say in a lot of countries and in a lot of cultures and in a lot of time periods. Still, it also kind of shows you the fragility of this throne at the time.
Hardrada felt that because of this agreement, he was now entitled to the English throne. He was also eager to go on one last big conquest that would turn him into a legend. So when he got word that Edward was on his deathbed, he thought, I'm going to invade England, and then I'm going to be king. So now we have three extremely powerful men who all think they're about to become the next king of England, and that means somebody's probably about to get hurt. Back in England, Harold Godwinson is watching over the dying King Edward. Suddenly, he comes out with a shocking announcement. Hey, everyone, gather in. That's it. Come closer. Don't be shy. Okay, so I've got bad news. The king is dead. I know, very sad. But good news. He said that I should be the next king. So, hooray for me. And, oh yeah, he said that if he once told anyone else they could be king, that he doesn't like them anymore, and they should just stay in Normandy.
Right.
And also he said that no one should ask any further questions. Okay, good talk. Go do whatever it is you do. Usually it took months of preparation to crown a new king, but Harold rushed it, and he had himself crowned the same day King Edward was buried. In Normandy, William's advisors came to him and said, hey Big Willie, bad news, Harold Godwinson has taken the English throne. And William was furious, so he sent an envoy to Harold.
WTF, of course he means WTF Taekwondo.
Harold, who said, William says you stole the throne and demands you immediately return it to him. Let me think about that. No. He said no. That bastard. Wait, I thought you were the bastard. Dude.
Dude.
Uncool. William immediately began gathering his armies together and preparing for an invasion of England. Now, killing a king was generally frowned upon in old-timey Europe because they were considered to have been chosen by God himself. So back in Normandy, William had to get God on his side. He needed the Pope's blessing for his conquest. So he went to the Pope and said, "Godwinson made an oath to me over holy relics, and then he usurped the throne. Can I kill him?" Sure, why not? So the Pope gave William his blessing, meaning William now had God on his side. Everything was ready to go. Just one problem: the wind. It was blowing the wrong way, and William had to wait with his army in Normandy, while Godwinson waited with his army in the south of England.
Yep.
They waited, and waited, and waited, and then William said screw it and sailed for England and got shipwrecked because the wind was blowing the wrong way. So then he decided to keep on waiting. They waited for 2 months and the wind never changed. Eventually Godwinson got bored and also ran out of food for his soldiers, so he sent them all home and he returned to London. The south coast was undefended and all William could do was keep waiting. While the northerly wind kept William in Normandy, it was carrying Hardrada and his Viking army to England. Hardrada landed near the old Viking city of York and defeated a regional army led by the Northern Earls, and York surrendered. When Godwinson heard about this, he must have been pretty upset. He had just
imagine that. Like, not only you have to deal with the southern border and the problems with the Duchy of Normandy, but then you also have to take care of the northeast and the problems with the other Scandinavian one. And so that could, of course, stretch your armies thin and your resources location, and then they could stab you in the back. It's a lot of pressure. I mean, I would not want to be in the position of this king. I would rather be in the position of William the Conqueror.
Expanded his army, and now he had to gather them all together again and march all the way north. He made the exhausting journey in just 4 days, which is crazy quick, and he caught the Vikings off guard and unprepared for battle. The two armies stood on either side of the River Derwent. Legend says that a berserker Viking single-handedly held the only bridge crossing the river, dodging arrows and fending off attackers, until some English soldiers got under the bridge in a barrel and gave him the old spear in the jewels. This gave the Vikings enough time to form a shield wall, but because they'd been caught off guard, many weren't wearing their chainmail and armor, and the English eventually defeated them, killing Hardrada, and with him, bringing the Viking era in England to an end.
Note how he said, I know he said chainmail, usually we prefer to say mail shirt, but I mean, it's fine,